Welcome to Photoshop. In this tutorial, we are going to learn about the text tool, the hand tool, and the various ways we can zoom. We will also learn a few hotkeys which will speed up our editing. A hotkey is a shortcut key that will activate a tool without clicking on it. Make sure you have Photoshop opened. To get started, we first need an image to edit. I've put a few on Google Classroom. Let's head there now and download an image. The images you will find will be different than the one I'm using to demonstrate. Open the image by clicking it and then right-click to bring up this menu. We want to select Save Image As. We can select where we want to save it to, then select Save. Our image has been saved and we can see a little icon on the bottom of our browser. Click the little up arrow and select Show in Folder. This will take us to where we have saved the image. I can click and drag the saved image into Photoshop. If I can't see Photoshop, I can drag my photo onto the Photoshop icon and without letting go of it, Photoshop should pop up. Then I can bring the photo up onto Photoshop and then let go of it. The photo should open. Next, we can learn how to move around our image. The first tool to learn is the Zoom tool. It looks like a magnifying glass. If you want to zoom in on a spot, click and hold it, then move your mouse to the right. If you want to zoom out, click and move your mouse to the left. This is a decent way to zoom, but it does require you to click the tool, then click the image, and then drag. An alternative is you can hold the Alt key on your keyboard and then scroll the mouse wheel. Once I'm zoomed in, I might want to look around. I can use that by using the Hand tool. The Hand tool looks like a little hand. Notice the tiny triangle by the hand. This indicates that there are multiple related tools under this one. If you cannot see this hand tool, try holding your mouse button down on the tool. You should see a menu of the related tools appear. Now that we have the hand tool selected, using it is as simple as clicking on the image and dragging it around. Just like the zoom tool, this is an okay way to move around, but requires clicking a tool and then moving the mouse. An alternative way to move around is to hold the space bar, then click and drag. This only works as the image is zoomed in. Notice when I hold the space bar, my icon of my cursor changes into the hand tool. Personally, I prefer hotkeys to the buttons along this sidebar. If I need to move around my image quickly, I will hold the space bar and click to move around. Then, if I need to zoom in, I will hold the Alt key and scroll the mouse wheel. Now that we can navigate the image, it's time to learn how to use the text tool. For this assignment, we're going to be putting our own text into a comic strip. I have a single panel here as an example. I can find the text tool along the sidebar by looking for the T. When I click, my cursor will change. I can now click and drag to make my text box. This box can be adjusted later if it's the wrong size. Notice how on the right, this new text box appeared. It said character. This area on the right is context sensitive, or that means it changes based upon the tool you are using. The text tool put in some placeholder text so I can see the size, font, and color without typing anything in. I can select my font on the sidebar or along the top. I really like how Photoshop gives you a hint at what the text will look like as you scroll through. I can change the size of my text along the sidebar or along the top. A pro tip is to click and hold the icon for text size. This lets you make the text bigger or smaller and see that change happen in real time. Check out these three dots over at the side menu. When I click those, I get a bunch more controls over my text. I'm not going to go over what each one of those does. Feel free to play around with them. Just make sure at the end, your text is still legible. I can also scroll down to change the alignment of my text. If I want my text to stick to the left side, I can select Left Align, or if I want center text, I can click Center Align. When I'm done with this text box, I can click the check box up here. Photoshop uses a layer system where individual elements of a design, such as text or pictures, can be put on their own layers. This prevents an edit on one layer permanently damaging another layer. Look over at the bottom right-hand corner. See where it says background and has an image of the comic strip? If you look above the background layer, you should see a layer with a T icon. This is the text box I placed. The text in the box is filled out on the label. This should make it easier to keep track of which text box is on which layer. Every time you use the text tool, you will make a new layer. Here, I am making a new text box, and you can see it add another layer above the previous one. We'll learn more about layers later on. When you're working on your comic strip, try to make the text big enough to be easily read while fitting in the word bubble. Remember, you can use the zoom and hand tool to help you navigate your image. When you are done, you need to save your image and turn it in on Google Classroom. In the top left corner, click File, Export, Quick Export PNG. Give it a nice name and hit Save. If you want to work on this file over multiple days, you need to save it as a Photoshop document. To do that, hit File, Save. You might see a pop-up that looks like this. Click on your computer, then double check that the Save As type says Photoshop. Give it a nice name and hit Save.